And cat hair on it. We watched The Bloodhound this week. We really enjoyed it. It was really good. The Bloodhound is basically a twist on Edgar Allan Poe's House of Usher, and it's just an atmospheric horror that looks at the effects of isolation, mental health, all around creepiness, really.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, we did enjoy it.
And we got this. Kim got this for free on a DVD order.
Yeah, so I got it from Arrow, and I'd done a big collection of other Arrow orders. So yeah, we got it for free. So we had no idea what to expect, but it was actually really, really good.
We'd never heard of it.
Yeah, no.
Like, even when we tried looking it up online, it was supposed to debut at a film festival, but due to COVID it was cancelled, so I reckon this film would have been bigger than what it is now.
Yeah.
And then Arrow bought it and then just apparently distributed it for free.
If you want to buy it on its own, you still have to buy it, but it is one of the free options if you spend over £50. So if you ever do that, get it, because it's great. It's also the director's first movie ever.
First full-length movie, done a couple of short films before, and it seems to be his only feature-length film.
Yeah.
Which is really surprising to me because I loved it. Like, I loved the cinematography of it. The atmosphere was brilliant. It was beautifully shot.
Yeah.
Apart from the fade out between scenes.
Yeah, that was our only issue,
yeah.
It? But so many long fades.
Like, I think a long, like, you know, like where a scene fades out and another one slowly fades in, like very classic, you know, 80s, 90s movies, you know, transitions were just a thing. And I think the long fade can be used really well in The Perfect Circumstance. And there was 3 or 4 times where I thought, do you know what, that really worked. And the rest of the time, I was like, why? It just prolonged an unnecessarily long scene already, I think.
Yeah. And it's quite a short film as well. What is it, 70 something minutes? 72 minutes in total. So when you're using that effect that often, we were focusing on that more than we were focusing on like the atmosphere of the scenes.
Because once I was like into the scene and like really watching it, I was like hooked. And we watched this in broad daylight. Imagine if, you know, you wait till it was dark, the lights were down, you turn the volume up a bit. It'd be actually quite spooky. Like you could feel how heavy the film was supposed to be, even just watching it like in the middle of the day. And once you were in the scene watching it, it was great. As soon as that long fade came, I stopped paying attention to what was coming.
Yeah.
And just kind of stared at the TV. It's like, oh, again. And it only took like 20-25 minutes for us to realise that they were continually using it over and over again. They had some really good cutscenes, didn't they? There was the basement scene.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
It's so good. So basically he's waiting and there's this whole build up and you're like, oh, will he let him out of the basement? Won't he? And then he finally gives him the code and it just cuts from him like putting the code in to it being like pitch black and empty. It sounds bad when I explain it.
Don't worry, there'll be a clip.
But it watches really well.
Yeah, I think the most standout thing of the movie is just how beautiful it is.
Yeah, and
how nice it is to watch.
The actors are great.
Yeah, so it's
really good.
So the story, it's a free. Though they say it's a 3-person main cast, but really it's a 2-person main cast, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's these 2 childhood friends, JP and Francis, and JP has been in his home on his own for the past 2 years. He's not left at all.
His sister isn't well.
Oh yeah, his sister's not well. She's still in the house. And then he writes a letter and asks Francis to come and stay with him, and he does. And the whole movie is just about those 2 really alone in this one house for the entire movie, and they both do such a good job.
so scared because I realized how big the ocean was. And I thought about all the years it'd be at the bottom of the sea, long after I'm gone.
Like, it's beautifully acted.
As I say, like, for such a small production of a film, like, we watched the like bonus features on the DVD, and we finally found out that the budget was $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
They had some like quite big, like the cast was quite well known.
Yeah.
So Francis,
Yep. He was in a series of unfortunate events.
yeah, the 2004 version. So he played Klaus, did I say?
Klaus. Yeah,
Klaus.
the brother.
And then JP was in like the Maze Runner and stuff. He wasn't like a main character then. He was like one of the boys in the maze, but still well enough known. And the sister, which is kind of the ominous unpresent in the film. What did I say she was in?
Oh, Slenderman.
Slenderman, yeah. A film I got Kim to watch.
Yeah.
Horror Kim hadn't seen that I had. Probably one of my favourite horrors, actually. I love it.
It's a very strange film. And it's strange because of
It's
all
a strange
the editing
concept as
they had
well.
to do to it. Yeah, maybe we should do a video on that another day, but that's not
Yeah.
for today.
So the sister is the ginger one off Slenderman. I believe that's the one that goes missing.
Yeah, the one they tried to get
Yeah.
back.
So as I say, like, we were expecting low budget, unknown cast, so we were pleasantly surprised to find it was, you know, not the most well known cast, but I could point them out when they came on screen. Like, immediately I was
Yeah.
like, these guys look familiar. Who are you?
Yeah.
Katie Siegel's sister-in-law is the doctor in it as
Yeah.
well. What's she called? McNally Siegel.
Oh, what a strange name.
Yeah, it is odd. Because when I was reading it online, I was like, I thought originally it was like maybe like Sagel McNally,
Yeah.
and it was like reading
Yeah.
backwards. I was like, oh, her name is just McNally. Okay,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
bizarre. So yeah, say like fairly well known cast. I think it was poetic. It was beautiful.
It was. And I think we both loved the ending, didn't we?
Yeah, the ending's
Like,
great.
Oh my god.
What a slap in the face.
That last bit, like, oh.
Obviously, it's an interpretation of the fall of the House of Usher. But near the end, he comes to him and tells him about a dream he had, and the dream is pretty much word for word how the fall of the House of Usher actually ends. So that's a nice little snippet, and it's foreshadowing. It does end that way. But it's like, it's a big fuck you.
Yeah, God, it was just so great. Yeah, especially when when we were watching the special features, we were watching the writer-director talk about how one of his big influences was All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
And how he really connected to the idea that the most terrible things humans can do is what brings out our humanity. And it really plays on that at the end. And it's so great. And it's such a big fuck you, like you say. Well, I think we were both so shocked at it.
Yeah. If you don't want to have the ending spoiled, come back later. Because I will spoil it. So basically there was, throughout the films, like, you know, some dramatic things happen and go wrong. The fridge was raided by the Bloodhound.
Yes,
Just like
yeah.
some creepy man in a mask just roaming around. But then later, JP has like a box of money stashed away, and Francis finds this really weird. And of all the crazy things that JP had done the whole film, we were like, why would this man having a lot of money in a safe, well, a lockbox really,
Yeah.
who is obviously rich, like he's in this big beautiful house in the middle of nowhere, he's self-sufficient. So I was like, this isn't the weirdest thing that's happened.
Why is that sus to him?
Everything else, fine. This, weird. A rich man having money.
Francis, I'm gonna have
Locked
a nap.
away, which we all know that the richest people are the
Also,
stingiest.
locked away, the key's just in a bowl next to the cupboard.
Yeah.
But the money goes missing throughout the night, and you just assume it's the Bloodhound or the monster again that has taken it. And
Yeah.
then after JP has that horrible dream about his sister, he's like, oh, please hold me, like I think I'm gonna die. Francis feels really guilty and it's like, oh, actually I stole the money. So it seems in retaliation that JP killed himself, left him everything, but left him a note in the will, and it was like, now you know what it's like to have everything but have no friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's depressing.
Big hit.
But yeah, it was saucy ending. It's a nice twist on the
Yeah.
original story.
I think as well because you go through so, like, when you're watching the film, JP, he's very weird and you sort of get really creepy vibes. You don't know whether he's going to end up like assaulting Francis or even murdering Francis. So your focus is on Francis is the normal nice guy, and then JP's a bit of a weird one. And then it flips it where Francis does the horrible thing.
Yeah.
And JP's actually just looking for a friend.
Like JP has been lonely this whole time,
Yeah.
and he has just been looking for a friend. Don't get me wrong, he's gone about it in the weirdest way possible. You're not supposed to be able to relate to JP at all, and
Yeah.
Francis is supposed to be the relatable one, the quiet one, the semi-normal one.
Yeah.
But I did keep thinking, I was like, why is he still here?
Yeah.
After every time JP would do something like so odd, I don't know, I'd run. Like he moved his stuff
Yeah.
out of his old house or something without asking him,
Yeah.
and woke him up like while standing over him with a bit of toast.
Oh my god. Yeah. You wafted him awake with
While he was
breakfast.
asleep, and he's like, "Oh, you love buttered toast."
ahora y en la hora de nuestra muerte. Amén. Dios te salve María.
Good morning.
Beautiful, isn't it?
I would stay at your house and woke up to you sitting over me with a cup of tea and one slice of toast. He was like, I've moved all your stuff, and he was like, I would have appreciated if you had spoke to me about it first, which, valid. But I was like, that's 2 boundaries crossed just in the first night. You've come into my room, which, common, becomes a common thing, and you've moved my stuff.
From my old place of residence, I'm stuck here.
Yeah, it's like, well, now if I want to leave, I have to take all my stuff. But I suppose he does end up owning the property in the end.
He does, but still. I wouldn't want to stay there.
No.
Because there's like even hints from JP that the place is haunted. So.
Which is obviously the premise of the Edgar Allan Poe's story, is that the house and the ponds and the surrounding grounds of the house is haunted, and it infects whoever lives in the house. But yeah, I did think when we were watching it, because obviously the point of the fall of the House of Usher is the house only ever leaves like one person alive to like carry on the population of ushers, and then it kills everyone off and then leaves one and rinses repeats. So when the sister was sick and Francis was dying, I was like, this is really weird. Like, how are they going to play this? So do you know what? Francis is going to get haunted now, and he's probably earned it. He did try and steal.
From his friend, he was letting him stay there for nothing.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not Team JP in this, right?
Oh no, like
JP's a certified freak.
Yeah, like it. I did a great job of conveying that.
Yeah.
Like it was so awkward at times. Like we were laughing through it.
Yeah,
It
just to like
made us
laugh at
that
the pain.
awkward.
And it was very homoerotic, like you were thinking, like, will they, won't they? As freaky as he is, I'm still like, oh, are they gonna fuck? And there was even the scene where he like touches up his leg and like touches over his manlyhood
Yeah, and then he's making him watch a porno at the same time.
that he made,
That he made,
that JP
yes.
had made,
Not
And it-
featuring him.
Yeah, it made it.
Call it what you want.
Feels a heck of a lot like a porno.
And because he was like, do you recognize the couch? And he's like, oh, great. And he's like, oh, they're my friends in the video. And Amelia's like, you don't have any friends. And JP immediately goes, two very expensive friends.
We're like, oh, okay.
Right, I get it. Hookers.
Recognize the couch?
Good God, JP, did you make this?
Again, when we were watching the special features in the end, so the house was actually like an award-winning house built by quite a famous architect. Don't ask us who. But they mainly had to film in like daylight, and most of this film's in the dark. So you were thinking like, well, if it was mainly daylight, how have they done it? Because normally with films you can tell when they've just had to mess with the lighting, and you can tell it's just broad daylight outside. I think. But this you couldn't tell, and then when we watched the behind the scenes footage, imagine the house is like, you know, it's modern. Like this is a 2017 like film that was due to be released in 2020, but was put back for COVID. So like lots of windows, big square house. They basically built like something around the top of the house and draped the entire house in like black curtains.
Yeah. Oh, the creativity in it is amazing. Like obviously, because this is, Fall of the House of Usher is set back in time. I don't know when it's set exactly, but this house is much more modern than Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
And the way they've like related it back to that reference is so good. So the house in the Edgar Allan Poe poem, it's like cracked, crumbling, falling apart.
The diseases in the walls.
Yeah, and that's how that's represented visually in the story. But for this film, because it's such like a new fancy house and it's all glass and much more up to date than it would be in Edgar Allan Poe's story, they've used design in like a really cool way. Like because JP's been in that isolated for 2 years, like they were saying, like some of the bulbs are out because JP just wouldn't have been able to go out and replace them.
Yeah, he just wouldn't go.
There's like darkness all throughout the house because of that, and that's how they're reflecting it in this film.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
were saying
so
that he would
nice.
spend actually most of his time in the dark. He wouldn't even turn the lights on.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't even known that the bulbs were like broken and stuff.
And you can even see like the isolation with JP's character design as well, can't you? Because we were saying when we saw him doing interviews, he looks so much different to his character.
Like healthy, vibrant. He's just a great actor. I
Yeah.
think he's done such a good job. Like, he made me like turn on the inside with how creepy he was, and I just think that's brilliant.
Yeah, he was top.
The actor is called Joe Adler, by the way.
Yeah,
Big up him.
fantastic job. 10 out of 10.
Right. Do you want to give it a rating? Because this doesn't really
think-
have any ratings online.
Yeah, no, and it's an actual good film, so there's
Yeah.
no point in us pointing out if other people thought it was good and we thought it was bad, because we loved it. But I think it depends on who's watching it. I thought it was great, like good.
But that's why I'm asking for your rating
Yeah.
and not someone else's rating.
But we have to recommend it to the people. So I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. I thought it was great. The only problems that I could pick out were some bits in the editing. But if you don't like movies where not much happens and it's all atmospheric and it all makes you feel a bit uneasy inside, then it's probably not for you. But if you do like that, it's very art house style. Yeah, I'd definitely recommend it. It's beautiful just to look at, even if you just want that.
Yeah, I feel like even if it's like, you know, the arty atmospheric thing maybe isn't your forte, I still think it's personally worth the watch, whether it's something that you're into or not. As I say, I always think, one, it's good to branch out. And I don't think there's enough that happens in it that you can say, like, do you know, if people don't like blood because they're squeamish, like, I wouldn't, like, watch this to, like, Saw.
Yeah.
But there's nothing in this, really, that makes your stomach turn that badly, but I don't think it's not worth a watch.
Yeah, so please buy it. We want the director to do more.
This was all great.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Come back for more. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. I've not posted anything on TikTok. And I won't be for a while. But follow us.
Yeah. One day there'll be something.
Just not today.